just skip belonging and have esteem, because it gives you the foundation of where you're going to have your esteem at, right? So have that belonging. Be a part of something bigger than yourself. You always hear about that, right? Because that's whenever you start getting that fulfillment out of being a part of an organization, being a part of some kind of group. And once, see this, and then the first part is very like inward facing. Figure out you're this, figure out you're that. But whenever you become an officer in the Air Force, let's say 4 years in, you're a captain, right? So let's see, my age, I'm 23. 4 years from now, I'll be 27. So let's say like 27, 28-ish. Your job is not to focus on your Maslow hierarchy of needs. You are in charge of other enlisted personnel that have their own struggles, that have their own needs. So being an officer, being a leader, you have to take care of others, right? Air Force takes care of the first two. Leadership takes care of the third and fourth. So now it's on you to take care of those underneath you on their 3 and 4. So take yourself back to, let's say, the first week of PT in the fall. Your physical needs, you had food. You don't have to worry about food. Your safety, you were living in the dorms or living somewhere. Your safety was figured out. Now it's up to us as POC, the juniors and seniors, and cadre even, to then help you with your belonging and your esteem. We're going to make you feel included. We're going to be a resource for you. We're going to be pretty much like your older siblings. If you're looking at it as we're all a family, you know. Miss you guys. But we provide that belonging and esteem for you to grow, right? And POC looking down at the IMT and FTP, that's our job. That's all we're here for. We're here to make you better. We're just going to make us better in the process, but we're not doing this as inward. This lesson isn't to help me. This lesson is to help you, which in turn helps me. But that's all you do as a leader, help others. So all throughout the year, that's all you're going to do. Help the people underneath you. And then as you become going through the ranks of becoming a POC, you're going to be doing the same thing. And as you go into active duty, you're going to help those enlisted members accomplish the mission. And then we can equate that the same for POC to GMC to then looking at like officer enlisted. So let's say you want to be like a cybersecurity, right? Because you're a cybersecurity officer does not exactly mean that you're going to be the one on the computer doing the cybersecurity like day-to-day activities. You are in charge of 20, 30 people, right? So now it is up to you to make sure the entire unit is succeeding. The entire unit is doing what they need to do. So it's up to you to make sure that their sense of belonging is fulfilled. Their sense of esteem is fulfilled so that they can work at their best. That is what your job is there to do, not to actually do the work. So the best way to do that is to understand where your people are at. If you don't have that connection, if you don't know about someone's life, you can't really help them in their fulfillment and what's going to make them the best they can be. So like I said, 1 and 2 takes care by the Air Force, usually, if you're smart. If they need help with their finances, that's you to be a resource. You don't have to help them directly, but to point them where they can go get that help from. Belonging and esteem. You're going to be there. I don't want to keep getting repetitive in it, but once everybody has those 4 chapters or 4 levels figured out, you've done your job as an officer pretty much. So we'll cut at that. I don't want to get too repetitive, but as you can see, you're always preparing. We always tell FTP to set the example for IMT. POC helps the GMC. Officer helps the enlisted. The captain helps the lieutenant. You're always going to be in a position to lead with the career route you're going. And there's always opportunity for you to help those. So, yeah. So, yeah, when you're understanding your people, really figure out help them prioritize their life. at the end of the day, right? Help them with what they need to get figured out first, what they need to get figured out last. If they're upset that they can't afford their brand new car, but at the same time they can't afford their house payment, maybe help them prioritize their house payment, because you're dealing with 18-year-olds. I know you're 18 and 19 freshmen, but we're dealing with 18-year-olds whenever you're a captain, just moved out of their parents' place, and they're going to be enlisted in the military and looking for you for advice. So you have that opportunity to help people who really don't know what they're doing, to then be the best that they can be. And all four of those, if you can help all of your people be the best they can be after they accomplish their mission and they start to see where they fit into the Air Force and how they are an impactful player, now that's whenever you start to, Air Force provides 1 and 2, you provide 3 and 4, and the combination allows them, self-actualization allows them to find their 5, right? They're starting to see things differently. They're starting to see their own importance and their own self-worth. And that's really like when you start getting people to work at their best. So really look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs. It's not going to go anywhere, right? You learn a lot of this as POC. Even like senior year, we've gone over a few lesson plans of not exactly Maslow. We've related it back, but whenever you're looking at a mission, there are baseline things that need to get done for a mission that leads to the second and third. There's baseline things that need to happen during a lead lab before you get to your second, third, fourth, and fifth, right? So the idea is very basic, but it's pretty difficult to implement, and it's pretty difficult to get it done consistently. So this is really self-related, but even in work, in organizational structure, all of this kind of has the same ideas. You need to get your foundation before you can build up. Before you build a house, build your foundation, then the walls go up very easy. So that's pretty much my lesson. Think about it. It's not complicated, but it is difficult to implement if you're serious about it, right? It's easy to identify, not easy to help. It's always a work in progress, and it's never really a one direct one-to-one. Here's the problem, here's the one solution. You usually need to do a little bit of like digging to figure out what part do we need to address, what part do we need to attack, and to make you a better person. And that should be your mindset when you're looking at like your subordinates. When I look at an IMT cadet, I'm saying, all right, like he's not performing well because he doesn't have that many, like maybe he doesn't really hang out with that many cadets outside of ROTC PMT hours. Maybe that's why he's not performing well, because he doesn't have that sense of belonging. Or maybe he's friends with everybody, but he just can't get simple things down. He used to be the all-star in high school, but now he's like a middle third cadet. He's lacking that self-esteem. How can we address that? Maybe work on his skills. Maybe he just needs a mental refresher, right? How can we address his esteem, that he needs to look at himself with a higher self-worth to get him where he needs to be in the future? Those are the things that you start to nitpick, the psychological things that you want to address with people to get them to be their best selves. You're kind of our guinea pigs. It's kind of what our juniors and seniors have been doing this entire year, and trying to make you the best you can be, because we're hoping to gain skills, gain life experiences to take that to active duty. So as the school year ends and you go into FTP, maybe look back at IMT. It's not your direct job to make sure they're taken care of, but you're also the role model. So understand the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Look at IMT that are struggling, that maybe could be doing better, not living up to their own potential, and see where they're struggling at. Because it can be a simple fix. But then again, it might get in the nitty gritties, and you might need to, address some real things going on in their life. And then after that, like, you don't have to fix it yourself, but like provide resources for them. You always have these opportunities for people, even if you have like younger siblings. Anyone that looks up to you, you have a chance to affect. And when you're looking to leave an impact, If you can really align their hierarchy of needs, that can be a lasting impact on people. So that's all I have for you today. For your homework, I want you to first self-reflect. Remember, you got yourself, then you got others. First, self-reflect. I want like 2 to 3 sentences for each level for yourself. Maybe where you're at and your progress for here, there, and there. And if it's all taken care of, good. If it's all crumbled around me, say my self-esteem is really shot down. Maybe a few more sentences. Maybe talk about how you're going. Not going to say how you're going to fix it, but have you identified it, and how do you plan on addressing it in the future, right? How are you going to build to become a better person tomorrow than you are today? So identify those things within yourself. 2 to 3 sentences for each one. That'll give you 10 to 15 sentences total for the first part. Second part is a small paragraph, let's say like 4 more sentences, with how you can help provide 3 and 4 for your people. So we've kind of talked about both. First, how are you going to take care of yourself? And second, how are you going to help with belonging and esteem for your people to help them get to the pinnacle self-actualization?